Welcome back to another episode of Around the 412. I am Smitty. No Tyler with me this week as he is about to embark on a 2-week vacation to Europe. So just me hosting this one, and also something very different from what we typically do. You guys watch us football, hockey, baseball. We talk about it, but you know what? Anytime that I get a chance to sit down with somebody that was a huge part of my childhood, to be quite frank with you, I don't think you can talk about Pitt basketball without having Ashton Gibbs be part of the conversation. That's who I'm sitting down with today. Ashton, how we doing, pal?
Doing well, man. Doing well. Appreciate you just having me, and always look forward to talking about the 412.
Absolutely. Your name actually just recently came back into our minds with Blake Hinson topping your 3-point record. So we'll dive into that a little bit more, talk about the state of today's Pitt Hoops team and all that stuff. But first and foremost, I want to take it way back, man. When you made the decision to go to Pitt, how many other teams were kind of recruiting you? What was that decision like? And how did you ultimately land at the University of Pittsburgh?
So it was a lot of teams actually recruiting me, a lot of programs, I should say. I ended up choosing Pitt over Georgetown, and that was a big deal in my family because
Oh, wow.
my
Okay.
mom was she's very academic based, and Pitt is definitely a good academic school, university for sure. She just thought Georgetown was the best of the best when it came to academics, and especially from that era. She's used to the John Thompson era, and just having Georgetown success on the court, along with their academic success overall. That was her choice initially. Me and my dad were pro Pitt, and with Brandon Knight being there, I just felt comfortable with somebody from New Jersey. I'm from New Jersey. Went to Seton Hall Prep like I did. He was kind of just a mentor as I was growing up, being from the prep. So it became easier because he was there. But ultimately, I ended up choosing Pitt over Georgetown, University of Miami. I had USC, actually South Carolina and Southern California, both of them. It was a lot of schools. Villanova, UConn didn't necessarily offer like I wanted, but they had interest for sure, definitely high interest. But ultimately, I just felt the most comfortable at the University of Pittsburgh. Loved it, sports city. And then obviously, like I said, I just had a comfort with Brandon being there, and I just felt comfortable with Coach Dixon as well.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that was where my next question was going to be, was your relationship with Coach Jamie Dixon, because for so long, the staple of Pitt hoops, getting them back to a level of relevancy, if you will. What was your relationship like with Coach Dixon?
Really good. I mean, one of the best coaches I've ever had, man, in terms of his commitment, dedication to the game. He was actually a big time player, from what a lot of people have told me. And then just seeing him as a coach, very meticulous, very fiery, as you know, and
Yeah.
passionate about the game. Um, and I just thought like his consistency with his approach to the game, like in practice, like very, very fiery, like I said, in terms of day in and day out being consistent, in the type of drills that we would have consistently in practice, and then that would carry on to the game. Like our practices at Pitt were crazy, man. It was a dogfight every single day. It was somebody getting after it. That first and second team, I'm talking about from my freshman year to my senior year, it was always the first and the second team just going at it. We always had guys that played with a chip on their shoulder and were trying to get more and more minutes, and the guys that were starting were trying to keep their job in a way. So the games became easy after a while because the practices were so hard.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I wanted to ask you, coming from like a sports family too, your father played football, you have a couple brothers that also played hoops, right? So, I almost want, like, in families like that, it's like your dad is really your first coach. And I wondered, like, if maybe that competitive spirit has still, I mean, still to this day now with you getting into coaching, which we're obviously going to talk about a lot more. But like, did you feel that at all? Like, was growing up in a competitive household, how much did that play into, the path that you were able to go on?
Oh, that was big. That was big. My dad in general, like, he had me and my brothers every single day in the drive, whether it was in the driveway or at the YMCA, we were working out every single day. He kind of took that football approach and just put it on the basketball court. And we kind of just every single day we prided ourselves on consistency. And that started with him in terms of just playing football and having that almost militant mentality in terms of just being tough, being consistent with your approach, being just having a gritty attitude. And I'm from New Jersey, so that's just how, you got to play in North Jersey if you want to be the best of the best. Is you got to be one of the toughest, along with one of the most skilled as well. It goes hand in hand.
So was it always with your dad being a football guy? Was it always just basketball for you? Did you play other sports growing up? And like, when did you come to the conclusion that basketball was the path?
Yeah, so I actually played football. I was a wide receiver. Shout out Plainfield Vikings. I played in Plainfield, New Jersey. Played for the Vikings. I was a wide receiver growing up. Played middle linebacker a little bit. My dad was a middle linebacker, so I played all the way until 8th grade. Actually, me and my brothers played until 8th grade, and then right around that 8th grade year, he made us choose. It was either going to be basketball or football, all in, and we weren't gonna.
Oh wow!
My dad kind of made I don't know if it was a joke, but just making sure like we had a decision, made a decision in terms of, listen, we're not gonna be average at both. We're gonna be elite at one. Just pick one, and we're gonna go full-fledged and be consistent with it. So I ended up choosing basketball. I was tall at that time as well. Like I think I had an early growth spurt. I was around that same height, around 6'1", 6'2" in 8th grade. So I thought it was just an easy choice. But ultimately, like, I just loved the basketball route, and being in North Jersey, going to Seton Hall Prep only helped because it was a big time basketball school. So ended up playing in New York City a lot, right around middle school. And that just turned into the love. In high school, ultimately chose basketball.
And your brothers did as well. And was your dad like fully supportive of that though? Like, he didn't care which one it was, just pick one and let's go all in on it.
Yeah, he just said pick one. Didn't really care. He had a lot of injuries growing up. He has like a metal plate almost in his knee from just different injuries that he had playing football. So it was an easy choice for me. My brothers were pretty good, especially Sterling, the middle. My middle brother was really good at football, but ultimately I just thought basketball was my route because it came easy. I was passionate about it, less injuries, and I was in a basketball state overall. So it was an easy choice for me.
Gotcha. Okay. So then we go to Pitt, and I just want you to obviously talk about your time there. Like, man, how special were those teams that you got to play on at Pitt?
Special, man. And you don't realize it until it's done. Especially my freshman year. I would say my freshman and my junior year were probably my two top teams that I was on at Pitt. My freshman year, Sam Young, LaVance Fields, DeJuan Blair, that crew that we ended up going to the Elite Eight, losing to Scotty Reynolds. That was our third time playing them that year. So
I wasn't gonna bring it up.
Yeah. Time has healed. Time has healed the wound. But ultimately, it was a good run, man. I think that was one of our best teams. But as a freshman, it just showed me like what type of work ethic you needed, what type of consistency you needed to be at that level. Like, if you would have saw our practices that year, you would have probably understood why we were one of the best teams in the country. Everybody brought it every single day. I had to bring it. LaVance was one of the top point guards in the country. But you had Sam Young, DeJuan Blair, two of the top players in the country that ultimately got drafted in the league. So day in and day out, they brought it in practice, and it just carried over to the game. And then we were just expecting to win. It was one of those things where we brought it every single day. And then the games just became easy, and the standard was just the standard ultimately because of how we practiced.
The standard is the standard. You hear that a lot in Pittsburgh, huh?
Yeah.
Carries across sports. So okay, you get your feet wet, and then it is your time to kind of take over, obviously, a larger role. Obviously, the leadership you mentioned, like Brandon Knight being there, Jamie Dixon, the head coach. Was there a player though on the team that you got to learn under that kind of like handed the keys to you, and not for better or worse, said this is your team? Obviously, it's a group of guys together, but like when it was your time to take over that spot.
I would say Sam Young, man, in terms of his work ethic. Like I used to hear stories a lot about him just sleeping in the locker room and like just waking up at early mornings, working out or going to the gym late. And he was one of those guys where I wouldn't even tell him, but I would just see what he was doing and just watch how he moved day in and day out, man. And he would be the first one in the practice and the last one to leave. And it was just one of those situations where he was a senior that I more so looked up to in terms of his work ethic, and it ultimately paid off for him, getting drafted, playing in the league, and ultimately just having a great college career, All-American, and we had so much success as a team because of him. So I would definitely say Sam Young, because of his approach to the game, consistently day in and day out.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, even from the outside, hearing the stories, obviously the work ethic and stuff, and even like with him, DeJuan Blair, like bit undersized for the positions that they played, but I think that just is, a testament to the work that they put in to get themselves to that level. Like you said, become NBA players. In spite
Yep.
of that, I want to ask you whether it is on those teams in the early years, the Elite Eight run, or you taking on obviously a more prominent role and accomplishing the individual things that you did at Pitt. What's your favorite memory overall from your time in Pittsburgh?
I would say just having a number one seed. Having a number one seed. We did it
Okay.
twice when I was there, my freshman year and my junior year as well. But just the way the NCAA tournament is in terms of the accommodations off the court were second to none. Big time plates, like we ate good, and then
Mm-hmm.
just the atmosphere on the court, second to none. You can't beat it, especially that Elite Eight game was big time, and then we ended up being the number one seed my junior year too. And I just thought, in terms of the accommodations, it was unbelievable. It felt like you were in the NBA, with the way they just laid everything out for us, and then the way the crowd was and the atmosphere once
Mm-hmm.
we got on the court. I thought being at Pitt, I kind of got spoiled because of the Oakland Zoo. We always had sellouts, and then you get to
Yeah.
the NCAA tournament and you just add to it. Man, it was a big time feeling. So I would just say just playing in the NCAA tournament as a number one seed is something that I cherish.
Gotcha. You were definitely a game changer on the court, which brings me to got to plug this real quick. Our guys at Game Changers, shout out to them. Recently became an affiliate with them. Save $10 on every order at gamechanger.la or pick6.la with code AT412. I'm actually rocking a Barry Bonds Game Changers shirt right now. Best vintage tees in the game. Anyways, Ashton, after that quick plug, sorry, I had to find a way to work that in there.
No
Called you a
worries.
game changer. Called you a game changer on the court though. So,
I like
give you a compliment while I throw that in there.
it.
But okay, I want to take a look at today's landscape now, changing things. I mentioned watching the season that Blake Hinson just obviously had and that Pitt has had, but I want to focus more so on how the game has changed. The dynamics have changed within the NCAA. The transfer portal obviously is a very hot topic right now, very prevalent in today's game that maybe wasn't something as prevalent back in your playing days. How have you kind of seen that or felt that shift the college basketball landscape?
Man, I'm jealous of these guys now, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, you could have been raking in some dough in
Oh
Pittsburgh, huh?
man, with the money they're bringing in right now, this is big time,
Yeah.
but it's well deserved. I think just the players having the freedom and the power of choice to choose where they want to go. I love it. I'll be honest. I love that they can choose where they want to go, that they're getting paid their fair due. At the same time, like loyalty is everything, in my opinion. And
Mhm.
once you find a home, not everybody is gonna pick the right choice the first time, but once you find a home, typically, even if it's that second time, um, I say rock with it, man. I say go full fledged in. That's just how I grew up. That's just how my dad was in terms of just figuring it out at the end of the day. Like
Hmm.
once you give somebody your word, you try to stick to it. That being said, I know situations change, things happen. So guys that, can get paid, get paid. The guys that
Right.
like a better situation, whether it's basketball wise, family wise, overall, like, you got to go where it best fits you. But ultimately, I was just raised like when my dad is just trying to just figure things out at the end of the day. So
Sure.
my brother actually went to, 3 different schools. So Sterling did, had an unbelievable college career. He just, had a change of had a change of heart and ended up working out for him. So everybody's different. For me, Pitt was just my choice, and I love being there for 4 years. And they did right by me and the coaching staff and just the city overall. Like I had such an unbelievable time. So that being said, like I'm just glad that these guys now are able to get paid.
I agree fully. It seems like in the same breath, it just seems like a bit of a slippery slope to kind of got like because like you're saying, you're almost giving guys an out. Like I don't want to say guys are running from competition or anything like that,
Mhm.
but you can certainly see cases where that happens. So like in your mind, is it okay the way that it's formatted right now? Should there maybe be a limit on the amount of times a guy can enter a transfer portal, or like how do we
Yeah,
kind of balance all of this?
I would give it a limit, like no more than twice. I would say, like after a while, like I just see guys moving 3 or 4 times, and I'm just like, yeah, it gets a little messy after a while.
Sure.
But like I said before, not every decision is gonna be great. Like not every
Yeah.
situation is the best of the best for each player. And not every coach is the best for each player as well. So like it's definitely situational. But I would say, no more than 2 times. I would absolutely say. But with the way COVID has been as well, guys getting that extra year, it also just
Hmm.
made it a little bit more messy because of the COVID situation. But all in all, like I stick to my stance in terms of just trying to figure things out as much as you can. And if you obviously don't want to be there and it's mutual between you and the coach, yeah, you free to transfer and just make the best of your college career.
Got it. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So, Ashton, you weren't Pittsburgh born, but obviously adopted by Pittsburgh during your collegiate career. What have you learned from Pittsburgh that you've kind of taken on with you from your playing days? And again, I want to talk about obviously your role in coaching stuff now, but what is a lesson you learned or something that you've taken from your time in Pittsburgh and carried with you since?
I would say community, like the Pittsburgh community overall, just embraces each other. The way it's just such a sports city. You talk about the Penguins, the Steelers, obviously, and Pitt basketball. The way they embraced us, the way they embraced me from New Jersey, and just that winning mentality, that toughness, that grittiness, the community based, like even off the court, like anytime I would see somebody on the street, they're rooting for Pitt, H2P, and just telling me, how much they're cheering us on and supporting us. So I just love the community aspect of Pittsburgh overall. And yeah, that's something that I still take with me is just getting out into the community and just building that fan base and that support.
Gotcha. Well, I'm gonna give you the opportunity right now to really cater to the fan base because I want you to tell me what, the Pitt Zoo meant to you. Because I mean, the time that you were there was probably like the peak of the
Yeah,
Pitt Zoo.
for sure.
So, what do they mean to you with that fan base? One of at their peak, the best environments in college basketball.
Yeah, that's the best of the best. That's the best you're gonna get, I think. In terms of 1A, 1B, in terms of the Cameron Crazies and the
Mm,
Oakland Zoo. I think it was a tough night. You're talking about that 6 man, what we would call it in terms of and it's kind of crazy because every friend that I have that I would play against in the Big East. That's the first thing they would talk about is how crazy the fans were, especially
Mhm.
before the game. I think the biggest difference is the pregame route, and everybody was just there early, heckling the players, even when they're in layup lines. That's the biggest difference. And
Yeah.
then obviously in the middle of the game, just going crazy whenever we would score. But the game is about runs. It's about ups and downs at the end of the day. So even when we were losing at times, like they would still be into it. The Oakland Zoo was just always active, always rowdy, and that's why we ultimately had a big time record at home. Like we didn't lose for a while, so that was our key. Oakland Zoo for sure.
Absolutely. Your playing days wrapped up 2018, correct?
Yep,
Okay.
2018.
So then how quickly did you decide to pursue being on the other side of that, the coaching side of that?
So I always knew I was gonna coach.
Okay.
I'm a hoops junkie, man. Like I love the game. I'm a historian. Like I know a lot about the older players that have played before me, different teams that have played before me as well. So I knew I was gonna be in basketball after I finished playing. It was
Mhm.
just finding that route. Ultimately, yeah, I ended up starting at Duquesne, which is right in Pittsburgh. But Coach Dan Bry knows
Keith,
us. Yeah, he did a
legend.
great job even this year, man. But
Yeah.
basketball savant, like he's one of the top coaches that I've been around in terms of just knowing the game and knowledgeable. And obviously, you see that he's a LeBron guy ultimately, and LeBron gives
Mhm.
him a lot of kudos as well for him being the player that he is right now. So yeah, Duquesne gave me a chance and ended up having a really good time there and loved every bit in terms of just learning day in and day out from Keith Dambrot. And it ended up paying off, man. They had a great year this year.
They did. Absolutely. Now your role in the G League with the Hawks. So how do we get there? How do we go from the Duquesne coaching staff, or were you just like an intern? Like, what was your role on Duquesne?
So I was the director of player development.
Okay.
So basically, I wasn't really on the court because at that time, coaches couldn't really be on the court like that. But I would watch, a lot of video.
Gotcha.
I
Okay.
was just starting out, so
Yeah.
it was kind of an entry level job in terms of what I was doing day in and day out. But being a mentor to a lot of those players was a big thing, and just making sure guys were on a straight and narrow off the court was probably my biggest. But obviously, would give them a lot of tips, especially the guards. Um, like on the court, just making sure they made the right reads and just
Mhm.
being consistent within their habits in practice and then carrying it over to the game.
Gotcha. Okay. So then how do we use that as a launching pad to where you are not at now, your role with the Hawks?
Yeah, so ended up coaching at Duquesne just for a little bit and then coached the AAU route in New Jersey.
Okay.
So I was with the New Jersey Scholars, ended up coaching the 15 and under New Jersey Scholars team, and they were known for their 17 and under to be with DJ Wagner and Aaron Bradshaw, Mackenzie as well. So I ended up coaching with them, and that was a big time experience, just being around elite high school guys and being able just to give back and being a head coach at the end of the day. So I was able to just
Mhm.
learn a lot about myself in terms of my approach to the game, how I would run certain plays. And I just learned a lot, man, just by default. Like as the head coach, everything runs through you a little bit. So ended up coaching there for a year. And then the Hawks came calling and had to take advantage of this opportunity. And it's going really well, man. I'm learning a lot in a short period of time. Just finished my second year. And I think the sky's the limit, man. I'm just taking it day by day and just learning as much as I can, soaking up a lot of knowledge and just trying to take it from here.
Gotcha. So, like, what's the trickle down effect in terms of like how much interaction, if at all, do you have at like the NBA level guys? Like, so are you having conversations with, the NBA staff as well?
Yeah, they in and not every day, but
Gotcha.
work together in a sense. So a lot of, I would say, the last couple players on their bench play for us. So this year we had Seth Lundy, Veet Krejci, we had Kobe Buffkin that they drafted as well, and Mo Gay. So the rookies and the young guys for the Hawks typically play with the G League team as well. So that's what I was in charge of, and making sure the guards were on. We're just getting better every single day. We're on the P's and Q's and just developing them. Like, we're big time developmental type of organization. They're doing a really good job with the Hawks. And, in terms of our situation with the Skyhawks, it was really good. Like, I learned a lot this year, just about my coaching prowess, and then just being able to get Kobe Buffkin and Veet, and seeing those guys develop and progress once they got minutes with the main team really helped as well.
Gotcha. Good stuff. Okay, and like, just doing some self-scouting on yourself as a coach, like, would you kind of describe your coaching style? Have you kind of plucked things from certain guys that you've learned under as well that have coached you?
Yeah, I take a lot of things from other guys, but I would say I'm more of a mellow type of coach, stern at the right times, but with my approach, definitely more even keel, and just making sure guys are on their P's and Q's, and guys are doing the right things offensively and defensively, and taking that right approach and having the right routine day in and day out. But still having, that relatability in terms of me just finished playing. Like, I'm still able to get on the court with the guys, so that helps. And obviously I've been at their level as well, played in college, played at the pro level also, so it's easy for me to relate. But ultimately, like, I'm an even kill coach. I don't get too high, get too low. I think that's what makes players play at their best, is when they're just playing even kill, stern, and still playing at a high level in the IQ wise, and just making sure they play hard consistently, possession by possession.
Gotcha. Okay. Good stuff. And I think this might be the last thing that I have, unless something else pops in my mind, because that happens very often. Still on the front end of your 30s here, already where you are in your coaching journey here. But what is the end goal? Like, do you want to be a head coach at the NBA level? Like, where do you see this going?
Yeah, ultimately, I want to be a head coach. At the NBA level would be definitely a dream of mine, just because, it was a dream to play in the NBA, but I just want to be around the elite players. And I think
Mm,
just being able to help develop this next wave of players right now in the G League is giving me great experience, and I'm able to just to see how they do things at the NBA level, and then, being able to develop the young guys is something that I really cherish and take it to the heart. Kobe Buffkin and Mo Gay, Veet Krejci, like, these guys were able to get minutes. Seth Lundy as well, get minutes with the Hawks, and they took advantage of them. And I think I was a piece in their development. That's ultimately what I want to do, is just keep furthering the game for the young guys. That's what somebody did for me, and that's what I'm trying to do for this next generation.
Could you see yourself, though, also, like, because, we're talking about the NBA ranks here. Could you see yourself being involved at the college level, or, like, with everything that we've talked about with the portal, is that maybe not as enticing for you to have to also, like, balance that in the recruiting aspect?
No, I could see it. I definitely
Okay.
don't rule it out. Like I said, I coached at Duquesne before, so
Mhm.
I know how the college ranks work. Just making sure that, yeah, with this NIL situation, it is a little crazy right now, with that situation, with guys getting paid and just ultimately just being able to transfer year by year. But at the end of the day, like, that's the name of the game. Like, I want guys to get paid, and want guys to be happy in any situation they're at. And I don't rule out anything, even being a head coach at the college level, as long as I'm further in the game some way, somehow, and just pushing this next wave of, players, and just make sure they get where they want to go. I feel like that's my passion.
Gotcha. Okay. And then this is actually going to be the last thing. And I'm literally stealing this from somebody else on YouTube that I really enjoy their content. His name's Chris Van Vliet, does a lot of like wrestling interviews and other types of content like that. But he always ends every show talking about gratitude. And I actually have gratitude tattooed on one
I
of my
like it.
hands here,
Okay.
along with patience. Gratitude is so important to me. And I just want you to tell the people 3 things that you are grateful for in your life.
Well, first, I'm grateful for my parents, man. Like the older you get, the more you realize how much they sacrificed. Just taking me to different AAU events, middle school games, and I played since I was 9 years old, all over the country. The different experiences that I've had, I'm thankful for them. Gratitude for Pitt. I would say for the University of Pittsburgh. That was definitely 4 key years of my development and growth, not only on the court, but off the court as well. Like I met so many different people. I was able to grow from a young man to a man almost like, right around 22. I just learned a lot, man. And just in the classroom, like I had so many good professors. I had a lot of people within the city that really helped me. And then, I would say those 2 in particular, like my parents are a huge part of my growth. University of Pittsburgh. And I would say just New Jersey as a state, like growing up
There we go.
playing in New Jersey, was the best of the best, man. Like I was able to grow up and play against the Kyrie Irvings and,
Yeah.
Carl Anthony Towns, like these guys that you see on your TV screen, even in the playoffs right now. Jersey basketball is where it's at, in my opinion. I'm a little biased, but I just thought I just think it really paved the way for my mindset. Like I was able to just play and be anywhere and not be afraid. It brought a certain toughness wherever I played as well. And that was due to playing in Jersey.
I was just in Jersey a couple weeks ago. We stayed in Jersey for WrestleMania, which was in Philadelphia, but obviously,
Okay.
right, Woodbury,
Yeah.
New Jersey.
Okay. I'm on the other side, but Jersey's Jersey.
Gotcha. Yeah, hey, I don't get the whole pump and gas thing, but that's neither here nor
Yeah.
there.
You don't have to get out. You don't have to get outside.
That's neither here nor there. Ashton, man, this was a lot of fun. I can't thank you enough for joining me on this. Tell the people where they could find you. Keep up with everything that you got going on in your coaching journey.
Yeah, so I would say you can find me. I coach the College Park Skyhawks, the Atlanta Hawks G League team. So you can find me there coaching. And then I would say on Instagram, Ashton_Gibbs, and Twitter or X, you should say, is Ashton Gibbs 12.
Yeah,
So,
I still do the same thing, man. I'm the X thing. I don't know if it's ever going to come natural. Twitter just rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, man. So I appreciate you having me, though. This is big time, and
Yeah, of
I always
course.
love talking 412 and just the community overall. Pittsburgh, man, I love it.
Absolutely. Hey, same thing. That's why I was down to do this. We don't always get the chance to talk hoops on here, so this was a lot of fun, Ashton, and we'll have to link up, do something in the future. But until then, wish you the best on your coaching journey. I'll certainly be keeping up with you.
I appreciate you, man. Thanks a lot.
Everybody else, thank you for tuning in. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. If you're listening somewhere else, leave us a 5-star review, Apple, Spotify, wherever your podcast from. You will find us there. Until next time, it's been Smitty. This is Around the 412. Big shout out to Ashton Gibbs once again joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.